So we do have some goodies to give away if people want to just shout out questions to any of the presenters or, maybe any Zcash people here or anything, and then we can figure out who to answer.
Yes, hi, my name is Ted. There is a phone coming out, HTC Exodus. It's going to be dedicated to the decentralized application security in blockchain, in crypto, and currency. It's coming out. Are you guys aware of it? Are you going to incorporate your product and maybe utilize it, leverage it via that phone? Because it's going to be specifically for crypto and wallets, and that's what it's all about.
So what's the answer?
So it's HTC Exodus.
I'll give you a short answer. We are aware of it. We don't know enough about it to be able to decide whether or not Zcash is compatible with it. So the short answer is no, not at this time.
It looks like mostly a marketing play, not a technology play. So I'd be careful buying into the hype without doing the research.
You don't need that, I'm
well, it's for the recording, so just so it's not out of context.
So from a neophyte standpoint, what's the settlement time on Zcash compared to other networks? And then the second thing is, without giving any investment or anything like that advice, what drives the value of Zcash? How do the tokenomics work for the Zcash coin?
The settlement time is about 30 minutes-ish. What do you mean by tokenomics?
Other than people wanting the price of Zcash to go up, what are the metrics in terms of the mining or the usage?
It's a proof
value?
of work mining coin like Bitcoin. So in the almost 2 years that it's launched, there's been a whole bunch of proof of work mining. Because you know how those Bitcoin and Litecoin and Zcash started from zero? There was no ICO or pre-allocation, and so there weren't any in existence on October 27th, 2016, and then they've been ramping up since then. Does that answer the question?
So it's a store of value coin, basically. People are looking to hold it to store
I think
value.
you might be asking, what are the people thinking who are buying and selling it? I don't know that.
Fair enough.
You want to take it? No.
Dan, another question?
So actually, specifically on your app here, I really like what you're doing. One thing, and maybe this isn't the right platform for it, that I want to see in the wallet software is get rid of the fiat thing that makes you think, oh gosh, my funds are going everywhere. Your wallet is a store of that exact amount of Zcash, as opposed to some fluctuating amount of fiat.
That's a neat idea.
Yeah, I've heard this before. The reason that so far we have chosen not to do that is the fact that we're trying to reach a broader market. And the question always is, what is that worth?
Yeah.
So as much as we'd love it to be just about the technology and about the value store of this one Zec, we need to ground that in reality. Reality might be the wrong word, it's my word. But we need to ground that in where everyone is thinking about it. What's the context? And right now the context is the fiat.
Maybe you can consider it for a setting to just turn it off.
Absolutely.
But,
See,
but, default, I agree. You need it.
Or maybe default is
I wouldn't do that.
Maybe in the future, your USD wallet will show you how much your, how many Zec your USD is worth.
What, socks? Trading for socks.
all right.
All right. I'm really not good at giving prizes out, so we do actually have a keep key to give out. So we need a really good question for that. Keep key.
I got one more question.
I still have a microphone here.
We can keep them going. So
I was gonna say,
So there's other privacy.
Wait, the guy behind you, we were pointing at.
Yeah.
It's pointed in my direction.
I was just saying, well, I'm just shorter than you. Just as a corollary to that, what are you doing to, like, advertising-wise, help keep people thinking in terms of Zex? What are you doing to help change that mindset where so many users are thinking just in terms of their fiat currency? And how are you? What is
I can touch on it, which is going to be software, website updating, educating, making sure our product's awesome, but
See, thanks for putting someone on the spot.
He was like wandering around like a game show host, and so the short answer to a very complicated topic is that currencies will go through a series of stages, and right now it's largely a speculative asset, moving towards a store of value in an expectation of a medium of exchange, maybe becoming a unit of account. But we're so early in that process. So part of it is building up an investor base who believes in it as a store of value. And that helps do a number of things, including stabilizing the currency, which allows for it to be used for a medium of exchange. But it is a very long, kind of complicated topic.
So I'm really kind of looking for what are you pushing on that's in the next stage of that? Because we see so many that are in that stage right now, so many cryptocurrencies that are out there saying, yes, this is a place where we say we want to come to a store of value in the future. And kind of what are you doing to help that transition? Because it's for the entire ecosystem, but specifically in this case.
Yeah, so we have some go-to-market specifically around store value, which is educating institutional investors and family offices that believe Bitcash or Bitcoin is maybe the future, but don't have an understanding of what's happening with privacy and kind of how slow moving that is in terms of progress on top of the protocol, and working with a number of large traders internationally to understand that, to help build liquidity, and also because then as new exchanges come on board, then they're allowed, they have liquidity to be able to loan to those other exchanges. So there's a lot of educational work on that front while we're looking for some specific product market fit in very specific kind of niche use cases for medium of exchange. So rather than trying to boil the ocean with everything, there's some certain kind of geographies where there may be some very unique use cases that we can start to target. And then the other potential store of value use case is in countries where there's significant hyperinflation. So it's not just for the wealthy, it's for people that need to hedge against the hyperinflation of their local currency. We have some folks here that kind of understand that kind of story, have been doing some research in some of those areas, but we're actively involved in looking at some of those use cases as well.
Tell them about your tweet thread.
So I put a tweet thread out that kind of describes some of that process of how currencies mature and how maybe this is going to happen over time, at least kind of a hypothesis of how it's going to happen over time, so that we can do some targeting marketing.
Thank you.
I got a quick one. Okay, so now that we've seen the prevalence of application-specific integrated circuits across a variety of different chains, some embrace, some have been regularly forking to different hash algorithms. What is the Zcash stance towards ASICs, which are now apparently fairly prevalent upon the Equihash?
This is my least favorite question. So obviously we didn't make any changes to the proof of work yet, and ASICs have totally taken over, except in Venezuela, where you don't pay for power anyway, so you can keep running GPUs. But everywhere that you pay for your own power, it's now cost ineffective to mine Zcash with GPUs. And we haven't decided what to do, if anything. What we've been doing is not getting distracted from launching Sapling, because there's a lot to it. Like, we talked in every presentation about the benefits and the goals of Sapling, but we didn't go into all of the mechanics. Like, almost all of the people in the company have been doing nothing but working on Sapling for like a year. Anyway, so that's been our priority. And the engineering team is now working out what the roadmap will be for future upgrades after sapling. And so pretty soon now we'll have figured out what the options and the schedule are, and then we'll announce what we're going to do, but I don't know yet.
One more question.
Hello, thanks for coming. I was just curious if the company has any kind of emergency prep plan for any kind of state level negative action that could occur.
That's a great question. I love all these questions that are about things that we're doing, except our emergency prep plan that we're working on isn't specifically for state level negative action. It's like you want to have an emergency plan for all kinds of emergencies, right? A very likely kind of emergency is a really bad bug. Like you heard about the Bitcoin bug recently that could have allowed forgery of new Bitcoins out of thin air. Those are in everything. There's got to be some bugs like that. Maybe not that allow forgery, or maybe that allow forgery, or they may allow people to take over your computer, or they may just cause the network to stop working or whatever. So bugs are the most likely cause of any problem. And then there are other things like 51% attacks that have been directed at some of the smaller coins like Zen, Verge, Bitcoin Gold, and a fourth one, I forget. I think those are the two most
I think that's why
likely.
ASICs are important, PS, and why I support them.
That guy thinks that that's why ASICs are important and why he supports them.
51% approved.
Yeah, they're differing opinions. I like 65% of me agrees with you.
51 proof.
So what we're working on and haven't published yet, and publishing it is part of it because it's a decentralized open system with all these users who are running all the nodes, and so they also have to know what to do in an emergency. But we're working on a plan which is like what to do in case of arbitrary emergency, even though we don't know what the emergency would be in advance.
So there's this kind of weird little, I guess, vocation called crisis management. And rule number one of crisis management is prevent the crisis. So one thing that we do, you might not believe this, but Zuko occasionally wears a suit, and one of the occasions in which he wears a suit is to speak to regulators and policymakers at the government level, state and national, and part of our job, and my job specifically, is to help educate people who make policy and therefore laws and regulators who implement the regulation that all these exchanges and money services businesses and so on are subject to. And that's to help them understand exactly what Zcash is and what it isn't. And quite often we have to correct misunderstandings that they have developed through alarmist news headlines on various websites. And in educating them, we reduce the risk that they will take the sort of action that you fear. We help them understand that actually privacy is important for end users, end consumers of financial services. And that very often in the case of NYDFS, part of their job is consumer protection, the New York Department of Financial Services. Part of their job is consumer protection, which includes protecting or preventing the unauthorized disclosure of personal financial information. So from that perspective, Zcash is great. So when you educate these people, you massively reduce the risk that they will take any form of action that would be inimical to a currency like Zcash.
Assuming they're rational actors.
They are frequently rational actors. These are people who feel that they have a duty to help protect the public, to prevent the criminal use of the financial systems and they are rational, but frequently they just need educating. They just need to understand a little bit more about this technology. And once you educate them, once you explain the implications of this technology and the way in which it can and cannot be used, they generally realize
They're
that.
systematically afraid of that which they do not understand.
Exactly. And that's why we engage with
They absolutely
those
should be
people.
afraid. This is their control of money. I mean, this is a big deal. This
You're
is-
taking away their funding and their ability to tax you, though.
I mean,
In the
this-
end, that's what you're educating them about.
That's a pretty
You're confusing a political position with technology. And I'm gonna finish there.
Thank you for the engaging question. There you go.